ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
People are still freaked out and they're scared.
A frightening reality for restaurants caught in the crosshairs of another looming shutdown. Parents in Lakeside are shocked to learn their children are going back to distance learning immediately as COVID cases rise on campus. Plus,
thank you so much, Bonnie.
My pleasure.
an inspiring act of generosity, how neighbors stepped up for a horse sanctuary struggling during power shutoffs in this season of hope. But first, businesses plea for support before it's too late. Many know in just a matter of days, the governor's new shutdown order will take effect. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kimberly Hunt, and a frustrated restaurant owner told ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz it's a scary time for the industry, and he explained how you can help now.
The executive chef at Terra American Bistro is still digesting the new stay-at-home order.
It's like going back to March, and it's even worse.
New restrictions go into effect when a region's available ICU capacity drops below 15%. Once triggered, schools that have received waivers can stay open, as well as critical infrastructure. Retail can stay open at 20% capacity. Restaurants will be restricted to takeout and delivery. Jeff Rossman says it's an unfair hit to businesses, seeing as the county's numbers indicate bars and restaurants only make up about 10% of community exposure settings.
They can control the business, but they can't control what's going on at home, right? And we saw that. The CDC even urged people not to travel for Thanksgiving, and look what happened.
Restaurants have had to adapt numerous times through the pandemic, but Rossman says their flexibility is going unnoticed by the state.
Some of the restaurants here spent tens, 20s, 30s thousands of dollars in air purifier measures and still getting no credit.
With no on-site dining, restaurants already struggling to get by may have to close their doors for good.
It's come a long way, but it still sucks. People are still freaked out and they're scared. And even though that there was the ability to go eat out on patios, a lot of people still weren't doing it.
With the holidays underway and more restrictions looming, he's urging everyone to take advantage of small businesses while they still can.
Now's a great time to buy gift cards, not just restaurants, but all small businesses. Please support the restaurants and dine as much as you can.
Jennifer De La Cruz, ABC 10 News.
Shop local, pick up, delivery, lots of options there. Our current ICU capacity for Southern California stands at 20%. Once that dips below 15%, the new restrictions will go into place after 24 hours. And that puts San Diego hospitals under the microscope. Scripps CEO Chris Van Gorder says grouping all Southern California hospitals together is appropriate because patients are transported between facilities if areas become overwhelmed.
We are seeing a lot of patients coming in right now, getting tested, having problems with their breathing, having all sorts of other emergencies. They're not just COVID patients. And so we are pretty heavily impacted right now. And so 15% sounds like it could be a reasonably good number. We could fill that overnight if we had a surge.
Sharp Healthcare says their ICU is 88% full. Meantime, the state is extending its emergency loan program for small healthcare facilities. Meantime, health officers in the Bay Area are not waiting for ICU beds to fill. Today, they announced a mandatory stay-at-home order taking effect Sunday through January 4th. It applies to 6 Bay Area counties. Health officials say the region's hospital system will be overwhelmed by the time Governor Newsom's order kicks in later this month. Meantime, parents in Lakeside are upset after the Winter Gardens Elementary School said it's closing campus for 2 weeks amid a coronavirus outbreak. As ABC 10 News reporter Cassie Carlisle explains, the 12 cases came in the last 2 weeks.
This email shocked parents Thursday night. Superintendent Andrew Johnson at Lakeside Union School District announced they met the threshold, 12 coronavirus cases in the last 2 weeks, requiring Winter Gardens Elementary School to close. The school will transition to distance learning until January 4th.
What parents really want me to ask you is why we're closing now instead of when the first coronavirus case came to light.
All the cases that we've had up to this point, no other person has been identified as a close contact.
The email states anyone who was in close contact with those who were infected has been contacted by San Diego County Public Health.
So in this case, we were notified of a few cases over the Thanksgiving break, actually when school was closed, and then a few more this past week when school reopened.
Johnson said most likely the virus was contracted outside of school. Etheria La Jolla immunologist supported, saying on the molecular level, adults are more likely to pass the virus to each other and not get it from children. Johnson wouldn't say how many students and staff each were infected due to privacy laws.
Staff and students are all wearing masks. They're staying socially distant. We've hired additional cleaning staff.
Johnson saying high-touch surfaces are cleaned every hour on campus. Johnson said the district and public health support the procedures they have in place, and the school won't make any changes when they reopen. Cassie Carlisle, ABC 10 News.
Johnson and an immunologist say that they are concerned with the impact that distance learning could have on students' mental health. Statistics show higher rates of depression among students learning at home.
States nationwide are facing a deadline to submit requests for doses of Pfizer's COVID vaccine once it's approved. It'll determine where the vaccines are shipped. Meanwhile, many states seem to be taking the recommendation from the CDC to prioritize vaccines for healthcare workers and nursing home residents. But many are differing on who should be next. For example, Colorado is putting its ski industry in phase 2 for vaccine distribution, while Arkansas has poultry workers listed. New numbers are painting a grim picture about what we can expect from the pandemic in the coming months. The Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation projects more than 500,000 COVID deaths by April. Daily deaths will likely peak in mid-January. Even with a rapid vaccine rollout, the data predicts a reduction in the number of deaths by about 11,000. The model argues that if everyone wore masks, more than 66,000 American lives could be saved. The first doses of the Pfizer vaccine have arrived in the UK. Up to 800,000 doses will be available as early as next week. The British Health Ministry noted that the vaccine will be distributed to 50 hospital hubs. Pfizer and the UK government have not added any additional information, citing potential security concerns.
A heat lamp may be what sparked the Willow fire in Rancho San Diego this week. Investigators say the lamp could have blown over in a chicken coop and set the hay on fire. Santa Ana winds spread the fire across 30 acres. One home was destroyed, 6 others damaged. The fire is now 100% contained. A red flag warning has been canceled, but meteorologist Angelica Campos is tracking more fire weather. Angelica?
That's right, Kim. Thankfully, we get to give some good news today, and that is no longer our red flag warning is in effect. We do have a beach hazard out along the coast, and the conditions are still very dry around the county, which presents an issue. As soon as you get those Santa Ana winds again, it would increase the fire danger. So as long as relative humidity remains this low, it is going to continue to be a concern. This means that we're outside of the red flag warning, but still near critical fire conditions are expected. And the winds are still gusting in some parts of the county, 18 miles per hour in Julian, 20 in Alpine, certainly much better. We could still experience some windy conditions tomorrow, wind gusts of up to 25 miles per hour at the most, but expecting a nice break this weekend before more Santa Ana winds will be returning next week. It does get a little tricky with the kind of system that's going to ignite those Santa Ana winds. I'll explain how it works and what to expect for next week.
We'll see you in just a moment. And you can stay ahead of the fire weather, and you can find out how to protect your home by signing up for breaking news alerts on the ABC 10 News mobile app. Sky 10 flew over a shooting in unincorporated El Cajon this afternoon that sent a teenager to the hospital. The teenager was found at a 76 gas station on 2nd Street in Lakeside, but deputies are also investigating a nearby marijuana dispensary and dead-end street up the hill. The teenager was transported to the hospital. The teen's condition is unknown at this time. North 2nd Street is shut down in the area. ABC 10 News is still gathering details from the scene. We'll let you know when those come in. A federal judge is ordering the Trump administration to restore DACA. Officials must open the program to new applicants for the first time since 2017. DACA protects undocumented immigrants who came to the U.S. as children. In November, a judge ruled the acting Homeland Security Secretary was not legally serving in his position when he signed rules limiting DACA applications and renewals. Today, that judge ordered his rules be vacated. Today, the Democrat-controlled U.S. House of Representatives approved a bill that would end the federal ban on marijuana. It's the first time a chamber of Congress has voted on the issue. The bill passed largely by party lines. It would remove pot from the federal list of controlled substances, effectively decriminalizing the drug across the U.S. However, the Republican-controlled Senate is not likely to consider it in the last 2 weeks of the current congressional session.